And welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 In, 3 Out. I am your host, Clinton Bonner. Find me out on Twitter at Clinton Bon. And I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. Find him out on Twitter at Seahawkers Pod. Brandon, we had a pretty big week. You and I, the Seahawks universe, the Seahawks multiverse. Not only did we launch a new podcast, a preview podcast last week, a little Seahawks What If. That was number one. Not only are we now putting these live out on, we think we're putting these live out on YouTube. We'll see how it goes. We're going to throw it out there. But number three, and probably the most important thing, Brandon, our Seahawks, they went in, they saw, and they kicked some Colts, you know what, to go 1-0, 28-16. Basically a blowout. Felt like a blowout. How did it feel for you, Brandon?
It was a blowout because it wasn't until the fourth quarter when they got those final 6 points. And it was, that to me, it didn't feel like I didn't have to reach for any kind of medication in this game. And to me, that's a win, because how many times I think we expected it. We expected this to come down to the fourth quarter to where we were having to be worried. And no, they send the blitz there at the end. They try and shut down the Colts to keep them out of the end zone. They don't get to the quarterback. It ends up being a touchdown. Okay, they get 6 points there. Oh well.
Didn't bug me none. I had put out a Twitter poll the week previous just asking, like, hey, of these four outcomes, which one do you think is most likely? Two of them, one was like Seahawks squeak it out, Seahawks win big. And then the other two are about the Colts, and stupid Colts fans voted on those, and they're big dum-dums and didn't really have a chance in this game. And I knew that already. I was in 26% of the people said Seahawks by more than 5. I voted for that. I was in that camp. I didn't think this would be particularly close, and it wasn't particularly close. However, if people go back or if they listen to the What If episode, you were more the Mama Cleo than I was. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But for those that don't know 3 In, 3 Out, just a little bit, if this is your first time me, first time you in this dojo, we're not going to be talking about the 69-yard bomb to Tyler Lockett. It's beautiful. The major things that you've already heard about and digested and seen and watched on repeat, because the sexy deep ball is a sexy deep ball. But we are going to dive into the nooks and the crannies of the game and other areas that, perhaps other commentators just don't dare to go, if you will. So Brandon, we have a lot of things in 3 In, 3 Out. Things have evolved, yet there's only one rule to rule them all. Brandon, what is the rule for the good people of the Seahawks world here?
Yes, welcome to our dojo. There is one rule. It is when the Seahawks win, we start with an in.
We get to start with an in. So the 2021 season starts with an in. Why don't we hop to one right now? Oh, look at that. Look at this. Look at us doing this live. We're amazing. All right. So, this is, I say to you all the time, Brandon, it's about the wet canvas. It's about the Bob Ross. You get the liquid white on canvas there, and you start to paint it. So I want to go into 11 minutes to go in the third quarter. We're now up 21-10, and, we're feeling good, but we're not feeling great yet. It was a little bit getting a little sluggish there. It was like, wait a second, we're about to let them do some things and, let this slide away. I want to call out this play. The ball's on the 38-yard line, our 38. And we talked about this in the preseason, the speed of D. Eskridge, and what does that do to other teams? So this play, earlier we had seen D take the jet sweeps, right? Gets around the edge. I think he had 2 runs for 22 yards, something like that. He averaged like 11 yards a carry. Beautiful. No. This particular play, you get D Eskridge in motion. You see like a nickel or the maybe the box safety kind of just follow over, not all the way over, but just enough. Gets, clears out that side as he follows D left to right. And then on the snap, not only is, Carson's getting the ball, but all eyes on Gerald Everett. Everett, who's lined up right side, is now coming around. He's pulling, kicking. Now, Everett does 2 things extraordinarily well here. Number one, Shane the main brain. Beautiful. Love the design. Love the play call. Everett realizes that the right defensive end crashed down so significantly. So if you watch the play, Everett's about to engage number 97 Muhammad, and he just thinks twice about it. He thinks twice and goes, wait a second, I got bigger fish to go fry. He kicks out further. DK puts enough of a chip on his guy, and all of a sudden Everett is on the cornerback, and Carson is up the left-hand side, 9 yards. He's basically 6-7 yards before being touched. It's not the biggest play of the game, but it's the scheme. We talked about unveiling this scheme all preseason. We saw it here. Have to start with that. The speed of D, the execution, the beautifulness from Everett. That's all brand new to us. That's where I'm going for the first in. How do you feel about it?
Oh, if we're talking about scheme with this first in, I go back to earlier on in the game with the first little dump off screen pass to Everett. So Everett in this a couple different places. And yes, there was a couple moments where you go, ooh, I like how they drew that up. This is different. And this was one of those plays. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but was this the one where Carson, like, he could have got the extra yard, but he just needed to stiff arm the dude and ended up getting carried out of bounds like 1 yard short of the first down?
Yeah, he went for 9 yards on this one. He just didn't like this was, I think it might have been first down. I gotta check the
it was 9 yards, but then he ended up getting the 1 yard, I think, on the very next play. But there was one play that stood out to me where it was like, dude, just put your head down, get the first down. But no, he's stiff arming the dude, and the guy rides him out of bounds.
Let's not go to negative 10 on this one.
Why are we doing turning ins into outs? No, this is the in.
Not what we do. Not what we do on 3 and 3 out, especially when we start with the name, which you know about. So, but that was a great one. And, and again, I still feel like, I'm sure we'll talk a little more scheme as we go into all this. And I still feel like we didn't get the full Monty yet. And I think you had on the recap show, Tyler Lockett kind of alluded to that too. He's like, whoa. Like a little bit of like, you ain't seen nothing yet. We didn't give you everything on film just yet.
We're just getting started, people.
Yes, sir.
Get that drink down. You can't do it fast enough. There's no time during the break to take a drink.
To have the drinks to stay hydrated over here. So we're rolling into an out. We're doing this live, for the YouTube people out there. The audio cut's going to sound so pristine. You're all going to realize how good of an editor this man is right here. And when I say this man, not me, that man, Brandon, because he cuts out a lot of my junk. And boy, do I toss some junk out there. So let us start on the outside, the sober yin side of this ledger. Okay, there were some moments, Brandon. This, again, painting it for the people. 1:35 to go. Most of these outs, I'm going to feel like it's that third quarter where we hit some doldrums. 1:35 to go in the third quarter. It's still 21-10, right? We came into halftime hot, and we got the ball back. Almost the whole quarter's eclipsed. So it felt like a slog this entire quarter. At this point, also, Metcalf just wasn't all that involved, right? So on second down, they had that little wide receiver screen. They try to Metcalf. That gets snuffed out. So, Russ just grounds it. I'm like, okay. The next play, it's like 3rd and 4 at about the 50-ish. We're at like midfield. And we're like, man, we got to go get more points. Even if it's 3 to go up by 2 full scores would have been nice. They get pressure right up the gut, right? And the next play, and whatever, sure there's somebody to blame for the pressure. And Russ does the floater down the right-hand side to Metcalf, who's double covered. And if anything, it had a chance to be intercepted. It was like low probability, just everything that we saw, like end of 2020, second half of 2020, where we had to kind of like pull off miracles to move the chains. And we got into these doldrums. It was like, ooh, we're looking too much like 2020. I went back on the rewatch. Do you know who is really, really, really wide open on that same exact play?
I don't know. Let me throw out a guess, though.
Yeah, throw out a guess.
A guy who was kind of a monster that I felt like in the second half showed up. How about Will Dissly?
Okay, it wasn't Uncle Will.
It was Chris Carson then, because
it wasn't Chris Carson. So I'm not going to give you the third strike, and that's okay. We're going live fire here. Number 18, Freddie Swain is wide open. And we're not talking wide open left-hand side where Russ can't see him. Now, I get it. I know Russ played a beautiful game, passer rating of 152.3. So, save your at comments. This is what 3 and 3 out's all about. But go back and watch that play. Freddie Swain he just does a little in. He just drags across. A linebacker's going with another dude. There's nobody on him. So the play was there for that, quickest. That dump off to Swain to pick up 5-6 yards was immediately also there. And my out is just like, hey, did DK get into Russ's head? Because they tried the wide receiver screen. Nothing was really going there it is. Nothing was going just yet. Do you think for that out, do you think that DK maybe was the frustration starting to wear and it changed, Russ's maybe pattern for a second?
I don't think I would go there just yet. I think DK had a fine game, but I can see where the frustration would be in your mind, because this was the drive right after Carson Wentz. They get him to 4th down. It's 4th and 1, and Carson Wentz fumbles the snap. DJ Reed able to pick it up. And so this was the drive where you're like, okay, this is where you go down, you score, you put it up 28-10 going into the 4th quarter, and you absolutely don't have to worry about anything. Now, ultimately, they did go up 28-10 in the 4th quarter, but this felt like the put it away drive after that turnover. And yeah, for the kind of the aborted screen to where Russell just threw it in the dirt, and then on 4th down to miss the open guy. It always upsets me when you throw me one of these quizzes and I don't get it right. I'm going to be thinking about this for the rest of the show now. So thanks.
You are really, honestly though, you're pretty damn good at them. So that's why I love them out there, because usually you're on the money, but that's okay.
Freddie
if you're
Swain,
if you're good,
Swain, I was looking for Freddie Swain as much as Russell Wilson was looking for Freddie Swain in that moment.
Well, I think D. Eskridge was already heavily concussed. Again, hopefully he's okay. I'm not even sure if it's a concussion, but dude took a big hit. So Swain's your 3 at that point. You go look at the percentages. I think Swain ended up taking like 43% of the snaps, which I think
now I'm the jerk for not saying Swain.
Yes. All we got to end is just, let's get back to an awesome in, and just remember that you're the jerk. That's all. All right, we are back on the fun side, the raging yang side of the ledger. Okay, we're going 8 minutes in, quarter 1. This is the Colts, and if you're like, well, that just means the Colts still have the ball. Man, oh man, that was kind of worrisome for a bit, right? And it wasn't like, all right, the Colts might score here. That's the case anyway. But it was like, man, I want to see the offense. It was like, we're all waiting for the Shane, the main brain offense to get out there, which eventually it did. And we win going away. And 8 minutes to go, quarter 1. It's when the Colts get down by the goal line. So it's still 0-0, right? So we got Darrell Taylor lines up left edge, and they have a handoff to Jonathan Taylor to the right side of the formation. So this is where the play I want to call out is Darrell Taylor makes Jack Doyle, a long-standing, tight end in this league, a veteran, a bona fide tight end. What is he, six years in or so, if I had to guess? The dude's been around the block. He makes Doyle look like a little child, like a little boy. He literally gets under him sled-wise, just stands him up, throws him to the left-hand side, and then makes solid contact with Taylor about 2 yards deep. Taylor's a pretty decent back, carries him for a little bit. It's a maybe a 1 yard gain, Brandon, but it was the first big hint that after the Jamal Adams offsides, which is barely offsides on a play that would have been a 3 and out, that was the first big hint that we could stop them. And then we did. Then it was the Adams play right after that, and then another good play, and then they kicked the field goal. So huge momentum switch to say, okay, do you want to burn all that time off the clock? And one of our young boys, basically his rookie year, essentially, I know it's year 2, but his rookie year really can make a big play early. Huge momentum gain. Got to give the in to Taylor. His first in on 3 and 3 out. He's got to be fired up. How about you?
I'm fired up too. I'm fired up for Taylor, because there was this moment, and that really did help kind of spark that goal line stand. They never really got close, because on second down, Benson Mayoa had the tackle in the backfield for 3 yard loss. And then, yes, they completed the pass, but it was Kerry Hyder on the tackle that helped keep him out of the end zone. And so, yes, the a lot of effort there by all three defensive linemen as they got inside that 10-yard line. And I'm glad Darrell Taylor got it, because not only did he make Doyle look silly on that particular play, it was later on in the game where I think it was the fourth down play where he just, on Brady Smith on the right tackle, just made him look silly, pushing him all the way back in the backfield and taking down Carson Wentz.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you called out Mayoa on play 2. Like, Adams got through, Mayoa cleaned it up, and then Hyder did a bit of a Superman to save, Adams was there to make that tackle potentially. However, it was because he was already going down with the Hyder Superman from behind. So 3 outstanding plays back to back to back, and the momentum that Taylor provided was that was the play for me. So excellent just vibe by those Seahawks that, like, even though the Colts were moving the ball, that first drive, it was still a lot of good early hats. You heard the click clack, you heard the hats being brought early, and that was a huge momentum stop. So big in for our second year guy. All right, why don't we bounce over to the not so fun side of the ledger, because I got another one for you. Okay, Brandon, I stole this from, I did it. I did the thing where I say, okay, Brandon. So I stole this.
Nobody knows that.
Now they all know. So I stole this from your grab bag of when an in is an out, and out's really kind of an in, especially when we have a win where we demoralize a team. And by the way, we demoralized this team. I thought they were good. I was told they were good. They didn't look good. But this out, it's 14-10. 1 minute and a half to go in the first half. So if you're, rewinding the clock, you're like, wait, didn't we end the first half in a really cool way? Yeah, we did. However, there was a play, you talked about it earlier, some of the ways we got the tight ends going and again, this is an out. The out is for, man, oh man, the timing of a beautifully called tight end screen to Everett. So it's this, we're moving the ball quite well. And we're setting up for our 2-minute drive, and we execute this lovely tight end screen. It's a convoy. He goes for about 24, 25 yards down there, but there's an immediate flag out there, and it's because the left tackle was not engaged, or left tackle not covered on line of scrimmage.
Covered up, yes.
Right. So
illegal formation.
Yeah, so it is an illegal formation. I love the concept. I love the execution. Something went wrong there. I hate that we had to put that on film and got nothing for it. That's on film, got 0 for it. Who's at fault there? Is it like where Brown's lining up, or is that simply a schematic thing that, Shane the main brain should have known? I don't understand where the out goes, but that was a big out for me, because giving that away without getting the, quarter of the field taken, man, it hurt me to see that not count, because it was one of the more beautiful plays we executed.
Yeah, I would have to go back and look exactly how it was lined up, because there was something there. Yeah. And Pete seemed upset about it too. So I wonder if it was one of those borderline type things where the officials go, oh, we're going to call you on that. Or maybe they said something before, like, hey, if you keep lining up that way, then we're going to call you on it. And they did. So there's sometimes those types of penalties where we don't know everything that goes into it, because they could be ticky-tack, just like DK early on in this, being up in the guy's face a little bit too much, where they don't want things to get quite out of hand, so they might call it borderline one way just to send a message. And yeah, it's like you said, it's unfortunate that nothing came out of it on that particular play, but ultimately we got that 69-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, and that was a lovely thing that, in years past on our side of the field at a 2nd and 20 after a negative play and then a penalty, years past, we might be setting up to hit the locker rooms and just go that way. But, but this is a different year. And that was a lovely, that is the sexy deep ball. That is the whole thing already. That is as lovely as it gets. And, I kind of want to say too, if the call from the ref back to the play is left tackle not covered on the line of scrimmage, isn't that the defense's Like, what are you doing as a defense? Like, why? I don't get it. So I didn't know.
Well,
I want more.
yeah,
More. I want more. Someone's got to give it to me.
the lineman being covered has to do with where the receiver on the outside is lined up.
Okay.
And
okay.
yeah, it's how that receiver is lined up next to the left tackle. And so there's a very specific position that they have to be in. And that's why sometimes when you see guys go in motion and from one side of the line to the other, you'll see like the wide receiver take a step back.
Yes.
When the guy goes into position next to the tackle. That's what they're making sure they're in the proper formation. And and so I feel like it's very, for the average person, they probably are going to be like, yeah, what the heck? But
right, like me,
players, like they should know.
Right. And, so you helped me come to the conclusion that it's not Shane the Main Brain's fault. It's not Dwayne Brown's fault. And it wasn't Gerald Everett's fault. It was the ref's fault. So they can own that one.
It was the ref's fault.
Good. All right. So when we start with an in, the last in of the three is going to be right now before we get to that last out, which is usually, it's again,
how it works when there's 3 ins and 3 outs. The third in is the last in we talk about.
Correct. That's how
unless
it goes.
we don't, unless I do an in after we're done.
Which maybe we will, right? So this last official in, if you will, time, 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. We're back to the third quarter. This was so pivotal in so many ways.
Why are there ins in the third quarter? This was the worst quarter.
I know. However, correct. It was the worst quarter. However, we're up 21-10. Now we talked about the third quarter had been it's been this slog, right? The Colts are now driving. They're looking to get back to within one score, which, by the way, people are like, oh, Frank Reich is this genius, that genius, this genius. I don't know. I don't know too many genius coaches that keep giving away chances to be within one score, but he did a couple times. So
you're gonna steal my in.
Oh, okay. You may have to pivot, but there's plenty there. I'm sure you got plenty of Brandon.
All right,
good.
Okay.
This is from the Seahawks 34-yard line, the 3rd and 3 play. They hand it off to Nyheim Hines. He's kind of going up the middle, right? It looks like a dealer's choice where he wants to go. Now Hyder beats his guy badly on the left-hand side, and it makes Hines cut back to the left-hand side of the Colts line. And then from 14 yards deep, Brandon, you know who's coming in to get this stick. Who came in to stop him a half yard short on this third down play?
Quandre Diggs.
Heck yes, dude. Diggs is, I went back and watched it a few times. I'm like, man, all right, he's 14 yards deep. That's probably where your center fielder plays, et cetera, et cetera. Takes one half step back, which is, I'm sure, their first step as a safety, recognizes run. He flies in. He puts a beautiful, beautiful stick on Hines. Not only stops him in his tracks, drives him backwards, rolls over him. He knows he stopped him short. This is not like him trying to check the sidelines. He knows he stuffed the dude short. It was short. Brandon, the very next play, you mentioned it earlier. So now it's 4th down. Reich is going for it again, as opposed to just getting within one. The next play is the fumble we talked about.
Carson Wentz.
We get the beautiful.
Fumbled it.
Yeah, not exactly like the Mark Sanchez.
Well, he didn't run into the back. No,
right. Not the but fumble because there could only be one. That's however, sorry that might have been your special in your Brandon, but and I'm sure you want to talk some more Diggs love. What do you got?
Yes, and I can pivot to another guy who was in on that play, and I'll save that for later. A little teaser of who my in then will be, since it's not Diggs, but Diggs was all over the place in this game. And man, that was fun to see. Now, he didn't have any turnovers or anything like that, but the guy was hitting hard. And when you see that, you're going to get on the show and in column.
Yeah, that's exactly the way to frame it up. And that was for me, it was the play of the game. Like, that to me was the most important play of the game, for all the reasons. If they convert there, they're almost definitely within one score. And yet they never got within one score. So that's the big thing. That's why I kept going back to that third quarter. However, Brandon, we got one more out. It's going to be let's just hit the button already. Let's get there. All right, last out on 3 in, 3 out, week 1 with this lovely demolishing of what was supposedly a good Indianapolis Colts team. Once again, I don't see it yet, and I think that's because we are a better team. Maybe they still go whatever 10-7, et cetera, but
They're good. Carson Wentz
yeah.
looked okay.
Oh no, I do think they're actually a pretty good team. I just don't think they're on our level. Is how I'm going to phrase it. I just do not think they're on our level.
Overrated Colts, but still might be okay.
Yeah, and they might do something in that division. We'll see, right? We'll see. And we'll let them figure all that out. We probably will never see them this year. And if we did, it's the Super Bowl. And if that's the case, well,
bring it on.
Yeah, we'll be quite happy. So this out is a little bit conceptual. It's going to go once again. I felt we actually ran. This is me saying this, Brandon. I think we ran the ball too much. I think we ran the ball too much. And again, specifically in the third quarter. Like I just don't. It was the lack of stepping on the throat. It's not a particular play. It's just that, dude, we end the half with the 69-yard bomb to Lockett. And then the Colts just don't try to move the ball again, which was, again, weird. Like, why not try to go get 3 and not take? And I didn't get that. Once again, I'm questioning Frank Reich's prowess as it is. And then the whole third quarter, it just felt like a lack of killer instinct, which led to some of the other stuff we talked about earlier. I'll leave it there and just say that to me, it's like, why do we got to step on the throat in the fourth quarter when they had chances where it took a Quandre Diggs play and then a bit of a lucky fumble to even, not get this to 1 score? I want to see us just put teams away in the third and not let it linger a little longer. So that's my last out is, man, hit the gas. They clearly cannot cover our dudes. What do you got?
It wasn't, I don't think it was a problem with running the football though, but it definitely was a problem with putting the foot on their throat, because just going back and looking through this, Carson had 1 run on the first drive. I guess Freddie Swain had the handoff that he took, swinging across the backfield there. So 2 runs. Then you had Chris Carson with the 9-yard run, which was one of your ends.
Loved it. More of that.
And then picking up the first down. But then it was 3 straight pass plays by Russ that took him out on the second drive. On the third drive in the third quarter was the fumble. And I mentioned it on the recap show. I don't think that was on Chris Carson. It wasn't like he was carrying the ball way out there. It was just a very precise punch by Darius Leonard that knocked that out. And then he had 2 rushes for 10 yards, so 5 yards a carry on the final drive in the third quarter. So it was a lot of, but I think your point is that they could have done a lot more to really, the tempo wasn't there. They were trying to burn clock. It felt like they were trying to burn clock in the third quarter. So I think it was that lack of tempo more than the lack of throwing the ball. And I guess I would have liked to see the tempo improve rather than trying to really milk the clock when you're only up 11 points. In the third quarter, I want to see you put more points on the board, not run clock.
And I think you helped me evolve it and kind of find it with that instant analysis. And that was kind of like, you heard me go, yes, like that was it. It's like all of a sudden the over the middle stuff kind of went away. It's like yes, I recognize the runs were successful, and I love that stuff. Chris Carson's my favorite player on the freaking team. And Chris Carson ran like a beast. He had a great game. So it wasn't about the success of the runs per se. It was just like, wait a second, we've already done the hard work to loosen this thing up that we could pick them apart at will. You mentioned Will Dissly earlier. We talked about Everett. We ended this game with, I think we had 10 attempts, 10 passes to Lockett and Metcalf combined. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. It was like 4 catches each. And I think they both went 4 for 5 or something like that. 10 attempts to your top 2 dogs that you just didn't need to. And I realized we ran this game going away and it was comfortable. It just could have been that much more of a blowout if we're just like, wait a second, dude, they can't keep up with us. Just hit it. Just go with more up tempo and get that next score. They didn't until later in the game. And that's okay. We're not going to dwell on that, but you nailed it exactly right. And Brandon, we got more things to get to, which is the beauty of when we win. We got 2 more important things to get to before before we get to From the Flock, which we got a lot of great contributions from many members of the flock. The first thing is we have one rule, which is when we win, we start with an in. The second thing is more of a sidecar that when we win, not only do we go through the three in, three out, but you, Brandon, you get to serve up your brand in. I get to sit back and hear what you have to say, even if I already stole one from you. So what do you got for this week after we demolish this team? What do you got?
Yeah, this isn't a rule. This is just a tradition. This is,
Right.
this is a new wrinkle to the show that you installed last season. And my in this week, since it can't go to Diggs, I am going to my guy, Mone.
Yes, I was hoping you
Mone.
Yes. Now, which one in particular? Because there's some to call out, or what do you want to? How do you want to add to that?
Okay, well, again, this was the series that led up to the Carson Wentz fumble, and Brian Mone was on each one of these tackles. They went on 1st and 10. This was after Taylor picked up 15 yards on a pass on the outside. Trey Flowers made the tackle on that. But then after they get the first down, they've crossed midfield. Taylor gets the ball on 1st down, runs up the middle, 4-yard tackle by Brian Mone. So he's there 4 yards on 1st down. This is pretty successful. It's not bad. Yeah. You want your defensive tackle making that play. Then 2nd and 6. Up the middle, Jonathan Taylor, who's on the tackle, Brian Mone.
Nice. And
then again, 3rd and 3. It was Diggs coming in to really lay the wood, but it was Brian Mone that was there on the stop too. So 3 straight plays where Mone was in on the stop and leading to that 4th and 1 fumble by Wentz.
Love it. Love. And this dude was so much on the inside the ledger that he was like the hardest cut. I was like, oh man, what am I not going to talk about? And I was like, you know what? We got the brand in. I had a sense that you'd go with him, and I'm happy you did. He deserves the kudos. We talked about him in the preseason. It was like it was a game.
And I have to interrupt you because
go ahead. It's okay.
Because in bowling, when you have the 3 strikes, you get the turkey.
You get the turkey.
If you get 3 tackles on 3 consecutive plays, is that a thing in football? Should we make it a thing?
I think it's called the Mone. I'm pretty sure the play is the thing there, dude. You named it already. So that is the Mone, right? That's the thing. That's a beautiful new concept. And there was a play, I think it was like early 3rd quarter when they were pinned deep, when he blows past the Indianapolis center and he is on, Prince Harry in about half a second, right? He is in his chest. It's an incomplete pass and he drives Wentz to the ground, and not in an illegal way. He just hits him the right way. Wentz gets up wincing really, really badly. And I'm not saying, whatever, a 300-pound dude hits you, it's going to hurt. But that was another play where he won. He won at the line of scrimmage, disrupt the play. Yeah, man. So happy to give Mone that love with the brand in. Great job.
He also, okay, while we're mentioning other favorite
Bring it. Let's go.
The very last play of the 3rd quarter. I don't know if he was trying to time it up with the fact that the clock was running down, because you never see a guy who is a guy on the nose on the defensive side of the ball because he's looking at the ball.
Right.
You never see that guy get an offside penalty, but I think he was trying to time it up with the game clock going down, and thinking that maybe they would snap it with 2 seconds left to try and get a playoff before the end of the 3rd quarter. And he just drives.
Oh yeah. That was
back into Wentz. And it was a penalty, but it was the most fun penalty because it didn't even matter at that point. And it looks so awesome.
From the greatest, one of the greatest 80s movies of all time, The Cannonball Run, the saying is, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly, right? And Mone was, hey, if you're going to do it, do it. And it gave us a moment. So for the moment, for the Brandon, Mone for the win. Why don't we rotate? We got one more little segment. We call it the MVC. That is the most valuable cranny. Now I reserved the right to pivot, right? So I got my 3 ins. I got Brandon's in here as well. All right. So I got to make a call on the fly here. Because we love the nooks, because we love the crannies, I'm going back to that first in where we talked about the motion of D. Eskridge, the kick out of Everett, Carson for 9 yards. That scheme and using our tight ends. It was not just using a guy like D with his speed. and the way we're using more athletic tight ends to put a dude like Carson in space for 9 yards, easy 9 yards. Like you said, he could have probably gotten 10. That becomes the brand. Oh, no, sorry, not the Brandon. That's the MVC, the most valuable cranny for the start of our 2021 season. All right. That is going to lead us to the only, our favorite section, From the Flock, where, well, Brandon, before we get to From the Flock, why don't you tell the good people of Earth, how the heck can they get involved? What can they do to be, a part of all this?
You can be a part of the flock. You can go to getintheflock.com, patreon.com/flock. And that is where you go. We have this Discord group that a lot of these ins and outs are going to be coming from. And that's because this is where we chat during the game, and because we have our game day chat, and then we have a 3 in 3 out channel. And so people they'll be celebrating a particular play, and they'll go, ooh, this could be a nook or a cranny. So I'm going to go throw it in the 3 in 3 out channel on the Discord. And yes, that way you can get your voice heard on the show. And that's the way to do it. Patreon.com/flock. You can also tag Clinton on Twitter with the hashtag 3i30 at Clinton Bond. And this is the time. This is your part of the show.
This is it. And we had people coming in from the Discord. We had people coming in from Twitter, and we had people coming in from the Seahawkers Pod Ring of Honor on Facebook. So from all angles, Brandon, why don't you pick a winner and start us off with our favorite segment, From the Flock?
Do I hit the button here?
Hit the button. Always hit the button.
Let's kick things off with Christopher Beast Mode 24 and in to Hyder for saving the TD in the first drive. Last second tackle on Taylor. Yeah, Jamal Adams was there too. It was nice to see Jamal in on that tackle too, especially being the one who really helped extend that drive. But I knew what he was going for when he was really trying to jump that. And you mentioned it earlier. It was so close. And man, I don't think I got a good replay.
No, they didn't give you one.
How close it was.
No, they had the first angle, which was like a little askew. And I love when producers do this. Like, I know it's live fire. I get it. And your one job as a professional who gets the privilege to produce an NFL game is to provide the best angle you possibly can. So they give you an angle that's like a little off. Like, I don't think he was offsides. He might have been offsides. They show a replay from like 45 degrees to the worst. It's like, all right, now I have no idea. Like, thanks for giving me the all 22.
Camera angle was behind him.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the head cam of Jamal Adams. Like, that's perfect. I can't tell where the hell he was, but to Christopher, great job. We talked about that Hyder tackle, that Superman. So nice way to start this out. We do have an out from Jake Burdine. He says, Wentz shaking Mayoa like a bad habit. I think this was early. I think Mayoa broke through. I saw number 10. I was like, who the hell's number 10? Okay, that's Benson Mayoa. Check, got that.
It's not Paul Richardson. It's not Tim Zorn. Benson Mayoa. Okay, got it.
Yeah, at first I thought Paul Richardson was like going around him like he had that one time and just couldn't hold on. But yeah, it was Mayoa. So Jake's got that out for Mayoa.
Mayoa made up for it, though. He got the sack later on.
Yes, he did. Perfect.
Decaf Metcalf fan club gives the in to eyebrows. What was this? What were the eyebrows, Clinton?
Wait, what do you mean? You know, right? You're not asking me like for reals, are you? You don't know eyebrows? Besides,
no, I'm not asking you for real. I'm asking rhetorically because I knew you knew the answer.
So the announcers called him Raheem Green, which was cool, but Rasheem Green has the most perfect eyebrow. I mean, his eyebrows look like this. His eyebrows are like this big, but they're somehow perfect. So Rasheem Green, I don't know if it was the sack, the 2 bat downs, which by the way, we're going to track those bat downs, a tackle for a loss. Either way, Lisa used to be from Seattle, has the eyebrows, which is really nice. So going forward, Brandon, when you see eyebrows, when you think of garbage, think of Hakeem. When you think of eyebrows, think of Rasheem. That's the guy right there. Back to Jake.
I did hear Raheem though. That was
oh yeah. It's like, as if research is hard, like there's not information available nowadays and you're not a professional who's being paid a lot of money to call a game. But anyway, we digress. Back to Jake Burdine, another in Shane the Brain with the play design on the tight end screen. He's calling it as we saw it too. Man, that was a lovely design.
Decaf Metcalf fan club again. Lisa coming in says successful fly sweep. Didn't know we could do that. And another thing that I didn't know we could do, Russell Wilson had a quarterback sneak in this game too.
Great.
What's going on?
Great call out, executed it quite well. It was a 3rd and 1. He gets it without real issue. He kind of just does what Tom Brady does, takes the ball, dives for a yard and a half, and they move the chain. So good call out by you, by the way. We had LB with another in. He says, pass rush already better than last year. Kept that one simple. It gives the in to the pass rush. He ain't wrong.
Speaking of LBs, Christopher back in. Radigan with a nice tackle saving on a long run on the first punt of the second half. And Radigan, I saw him laying some wood on special teams.
Dude, the guy's from West Point. Do you expect a dude who's from Army football to not just hit dudes and hit them aggressively? Man,
I expect that. I do expect that. And exactly. I was still impressed.
And to my boy, Greg Lattivis, if he's out there, go Army, beat Navy. We're going to stick with.
No.
I forgot. You're a Navy guy. That's right.
Strike that from the show.
Strike that from the show.
This will be on YouTube. This is not going to be on the podcast.
Fair enough. It is. You are the producer. All right. Back to Chris. He says, out. Posick getting smoked by Buckner on a key 3rd down, killing the drive. This was interesting because they were, we had different centers at different times, which was a bit of an experiment, but he gives the out to Posick. Sure. I thought Fuller played pretty okay. I don't know, ish.
Yeah, it was all right.
Not bad, right?
It was okay.
Yeah. Not great.
Not everybody can be awesome.
Correct.
That's if it's going to be the center this year, I'd rather it not be the right tackle like it was with Ifedi in the past. So you know what? We'll figure it out.
All right, Mosey,
for casually pushing down number 58 on the Colts, and yes, casually putting him down was an understatement because it was violent and aggressive, and it was perhaps my favorite play of the day.
Oh, it was beautiful. And I want to call out because this is a little combo package. We had David McCary 2 out on Twitter. He just sent the gif of Disley just mauling this guy, putting him into the ground, which was fantastic. Also in the Ring of Honor, we had Kenneth Reyes, Uncle Will's Derrick Henry style, sit your ass down, stiff arm. He had that as well. I'm going to keep the Uncle Will love going. Kyle McDonald in the Seahawkers Pod Ring of Honor. He said, Uncle Will turning into Papa Will? He wasn't talking about that stiff arm. He was talking after D. Eskridge got hurt and D's trying to get up and Will's like, no. You stay right here for a little bit. You just sit down. We'll take care of you. So a lot of Uncle Will love.
A lot of Uncle Will love.
Why not?
And this wasn't like it was a safety or a corner. No, this was a 6'1", 235-pound linebacker with Bobby Okereke. And so, it was no easy task just putting that guy in the dirt.
Yeah, Hoko Hakariki, you want to lay me. Hit the next in.
I was just looking at Okereke's number.
Okay.
We called him out earlier. The Raging Yang. Ooh, I like the name.
Yes,
the Raging Yang in the Discord.
Yes, me too.
Mone, the Mack truck, serving up some Wince pancakes.
Yeah, and that was beautiful, and love to see that you took that as the brand in. The Raging Yang was all over it. He did have an out. He says the defense against any screenplay, which I thought was a subtle cry in the wilderness for the wide receiver screen or any screen eater. KJ Wright used to eat screens. This didn't know teams couldn't screen against us because KJ Wright would just eat them like Galactus eats planets. So I think that's a subtle something to keep watching. While we had good D, screen game was effective against us.
On the Seahawkers podcast, we called it out. We were hoping that there was a conspiracy going on and that KJ Wright was actually wearing the mask of our other linebacker, Jordan Brooks. And but I think that theory is gone now after seeing all those successful screens.
It might be gone, but Brooks, to his credit, did score 11 tackles and looked pretty damn good himself. So, if that's his weakness, if the wide receiver screen or the running back screens is kryptonite, then I guess we'll see. But he had a good day. Yeah, he did. We will solve for it.
Frost was in heavy on the Discord. Comes with an in, says D looks solid most of the day. D line putting up solid pressure. Diggs was all over the field. Taylor with a key sack and a QB hit. Green getting pressure consistently. held them to 5-13 on third down and 0 for 3 on fourth. And yes, it's those last two stats that are key, and Pete Carroll loves those stats.
Yes, and our third down stats looked weaker than they actually were because of Russell's little slides and stuff like that at the end of the game. Plus, the Colts get 4 sacks. Here, all right, so here's one, right? Here's one.
No, they did not have 4 sacks.
Exactly.
Russell Wilson sacked himself twice,
right?
And
exactly.
they gave it to the dude who touched him as he slid down to the ground.
Yeah. So so a quarterback can give himself up, and that's a sack. Okay. But Carlos Dunlap's actual play on the 2-point conversion where he busts through and gets a sack doesn't count as a sack because, like, all right. I mean, like, just we got to draw the line somewhere with this stupidity, which is why stats can be manipulated. All right. But what cannot be manipulated, we had.
And you know what? That even stuck with Carlos after the game, too, because I heard him talking to the reporter for the Seahawks, and he was like, oh, well, it wasn't. I got to him, but it wasn't a real stat. And so you should be happy. You should be happy that you had that play. That should go in as a sack. And instead, now you got Carlos Dunlap, who's, well, maybe we want him mad for the next game.
Maybe we want him on Tannehill for sure. So we had Jay Scott has. Oh no, I did this last year. Jay Scott AZ12. I don't know why I want to call it. It's like Alcatraz. Jay Scott AZ12 out. Not activating Alex Collins when you knew Penny would be hurt. Now, I don't know that they knew that Penny would be hurt. However, next game, we could look forward to Alex Collins being suited up.
And in from Designed Pete's Beach House to Dixon, working his way around blown protection. And yes, this is the only show where you're going to get some analysis of a potentially blocked punt that turned into a penalty that ended up being a somewhat not negative play. And Dixon early on in this game, they get the penalty for illegal men downfield because he took too long to punt the football. But it was because he saw that left side crashing down, and he ends up sneaking around to the right side, just getting the punt off. And it was a good move by him to not have the punt blocked. Ultimately, they get some yardage, they get the penalty. And I think, was that their touchdown drive that they ended up scoring on because they had the short field after that?
It might have been because they went to like the 30 or 40 yard line as a starting point. And it's okay if it is. It still prevented disaster. Look what it did to the Bills. The Bills got that punt blocked when they were down 7 or down 3, and then the Steelers take it away from there. That wasn't our Aussie with the awesome, Australian-based tattoos. He knew what to do. That dude's an athlete, man. That's a straight athletic play to still make that, which is why, hey, kids, or parents, do not single track your kids in sports. Put them in different friggin' sports, because I can tell you what, that dude doesn't play Aussie rules football and rugby his entire life. He ain't making that play.
I think on that same play too, and it was after the Colts touchdown. That was the drive that the Seahawks, they got the ball back after the Colts touchdown. So there was no score after it. But what did you see the ball? Did he bounce the ball off the turf before he kicked that ball?
It looked like I don't know. I have to go back and watch if he actually did that that little Doug Flutie thing that Flutie did that one time, and all the Aussies know about it. But it was sure real low. He dropped it to a super low position where he did not need an extended kick to still put a ton of momentum behind it. It was just sheer athleticism and practicing a different sport than the sport you play, which again, parents, listen up here. We did have John Bryant's face. Speaking of listening, he says, in fresh legs for the starters due to skipping the preseason. I think that's pretty big. We went in with a fresh team. Yes, we came out with a couple of dings. That's NFL football, but we were healthy.
Yeah, the rest versus rust argument. Rest wanted out in week 1 for the Seahawks. That is Radical comes in and says, each of Russell Wilson's touchdowns were from inside the pocket.
Man, and a couple of those were, and what a pocket it was a couple of times, right? I mean, just a good job. Now, I know the PFF grades. I saw Hawk Blogger out there tweeting the PFF grades for the interior line, and they were not pretty. It wasn't great, and it yet was still good enough, good enough for Russ to step into a couple times. Hey, man, 4 touchdowns don't lie. Stats don't lie. Another person who does not lie. Flocked him his prime. Keith Ketover. He goes biggest in no prevent defense. I like that. We didn't see, two dudes and dropping the rest of the score back. We barely saw a 3-man front. We got pressure with 4. We got consistent pressure with our blitzes. Good call by Flocktimus.
Yeah, the most that we saw on that was, I think, that scoring drive in the fourth quarter, or maybe even both drives in the fourth quarter, because, yes, the first one took 5 minutes off the clock. The second scoring drive the only scoring drive in the fourth quarter for the Colts, they ended up taking almost 5. Yeah, so they had the ball, time of possession, for almost 10 minutes in that fourth quarter. But yeah, it was maybe not the traditional prevent, but they were keeping the big play away. It got frustrating for me. I can't lie. It was a little bit frustrating.
Well, the time possession ended up being like something like Seattle only had like 24 minutes of, TOP, which whatever, that's Marshawn Lynch. So if you win the game by 12 and your time possession's Marshawn Lynch's number, you're going to have a good time. So I think we have 2 more here, Brandon. Why don't you take the schmick and I'll land it.
All right. Schmick with the in, starting the season with a win, 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, simple, beautiful, to the point, and a conscious tweet by Schmick there. Follow him at Mickey Swank out on Twitter. He's been consistent for a couple of years there. And we close the in section, especially the from the flock section, with one from the man, the myth, everything out there. Hong Kong Hawk Dave Bloomy. He says, in Carson Wentz for recovering on time to open the season as RB. I'm not going to say the word. We got kids here, but we all get the gist. What is he? What are they? 0-5. He's 0-6 now.
He's 0-6 now if you include the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, and I do, because those games matter. Yeah,
you should include the playoffs. It just I think it gets lost sometimes because people look at just the regular season numbers. But yes, Carson Wentz winless against the Seahawks.
Yeah, winless in Seattle and outside Seattle against our Hawks. Brandon, that's going to wrap it, buddy. This is our first, 3 in, 3 out of the year when for the season, week 1. We again
real 3 in, 3 out. The other 3 all fake. This is the real one.
We did it 20 weeks in a row during the season. That was a lot of fun. It led to some great new things, but we had a good week, and we're going to continue to have good weeks. So I'm fired up. We got more stuff coming at you. And listen, let us know how you like the videos too. If this is hitting you and you like it that way, we want to provide the content, any way you want to cut it up. So Brandon, man, this is a good time. And I think now we got a team, Tennessee. You guys are going to talk about it this week, and we'll do our what if a little bit later with our friend Phil later in the week. But we got a team in Tennessee that they didn't look so hot, and things can change, in an instant in the NFL, but they didn't look so good against the Cardinals. So we get to welcome them in to the Pacific Northwest, make them come cross country, and we get to get fired up for the first home game of the year, rolling in 1-0.
They take in the Cardinals, and now it doesn't get any easier. They got to come up to Seattle and take on our Seahawks.
Yeah, man. And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Hit the button.